Welcome to our third segment with Laura Crider, a person who has achieved a remarkable lifestyle change in her life. She has lost a significant amount of weight. We have mentioned that before. She is about half of the size she was. And we also wonder how this type of change and accomplishment impact your life, your sense of yourself, who knows? Maybe even your personality, the way you relate to others. So, welcome back, Laura, and let me ask you that question. How have your life changed from a physical point of view, mental point of view, social point of view, maybe spiritual point of view, maybe work related point of view, as a consequence of this major change in your lifestyle?
Physically, let's start there. I feel, like I said, I can run up the stairs now. I don't have the knee pains. I walk about 2 miles every morning before work. I take my dog, she's very happy, on my walks. And so physically, I feel great. I put it this way, if I come home and I want to get on the couch and go to sleep, it's because of usually one of two things. I've either stayed up too late the night before, which is an issue with weight loss, you have to have good rest, or I've done something to really wear myself out. It's not that I'm just don't have the energy for life. So that physically has changed very much. In fact, I feel like I'm almost hyperactive sometimes, that I can't quite sit still.
Sorry to interrupt, but to make a comparison,
Hmm.
how was your lifestyle before?
Before, I would come home,
Mm-hmm.
I would take the dog out, there's different dogs, take her literally to the end of the driveway for her to pee, come back in, eat dinner, lay on the couch, watch TV, probably almost fall asleep, then go back upstairs to go to bed and repeat the cycle over the next day. I didn't really go very many places. I didn't do a whole lot. I didn't have energy to do a lot. I did manage to go salsa dancing once a week. That was kind of my big activity, but it took a lot of focused effort to go.
So it was a very sedentary life
Very.
besides the salsa dancing once a week.
Yeah, I was a couch potato, literally.
Okay, the couch, very good.
Literally.
And so now, how many different activities do you have on a given week?
On an even week, let's see. It depends on the week.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that now it's like I go to a couple of meetings a week. I'm talking like Weight Watchers for weight loss. I go shopping on a very regular basis. It's a great way to get walking in without thinking about it. And I sometimes dance 2 or 3 times a week. And I mainly love getting out and walking. I usually have 2 2-mile walks a day.
A day. I was impressed
So
with that because that's a major lifestyle change, no
yeah,
doubt.
to get out, because I come home and it's like I don't want to eat dinner. I may have a piece of fruit or something, and I feed the dog her dinner, and then we hit the road. And I mean it's still hot in Florida at 5 o'clock, but it's like I don't care. I know I need to get out and do it, and that helps me clear my head from the day. And it's been amazing the things you can think of when you're out walking, and that's been really good. My mind has had a whole new focus, and I've been able to generate. And I feel my stream of creativity has come back.
Wait. So you do the walking,
Hmm.
but now you have found a productive way
Imagine that.
to engage in something while you are walking.
Hmm.
Like what?
Well, it's like I do a weekly electronic newsletter, and a lot of times I'll get inspiration as I'm walking. I start thinking about something, and I decide I'm going to read or research more about it, and then I'll write about it. Sometimes I have my phone, and I've literally texted myself some ideas to write about. I just start thinking about how can I better achieve something, whether it's at work. Sometimes projects are bugging me, and I'll think of new ways to solve it, or maybe a different way to approach it. Just walking, like I said, it's really, I like that time. A lot of times people don't like being by themselves like that. I love the morning walks with my dog. because my head is getting prepared for the day. I start thinking in advance on the day, but it's not stressful thinking. It's like, okay, how can I better approach that? You know, if I know something's possibly coming up that could be stressful, how can I better react to that? How can I let it not be a stressor? And that to me is another component of the lifestyle change with the weight loss change, because okay, you name almost any kind of emotional eating, I've done it. Happy, sad, angry, frustrated. So in order to not do that, I have to think of better ways to use those emotions and to react to those things. So there's been a lot of coping mechanisms I've had to learn.
Uh-huh.
So
And you are an educated person when it comes down to the idea of self-talk and the idea of using different activities now as time for reviewing, for inspiration, for creativity, but also for sort of focusing for the day. So that's a very positive way to engage on all that. But I remember in a previous conversation you mentioning that you have a very negative head. And what you are describing now seems to be a very positive head. So help us understand, like a compare and contrast.
okay.
How was it before? How is it now?
Well, pretty much anything, like I said, I was raised around a lot of negativity. My father, who I dearly love, was a very negative person. He was also a perfectionist, military. I came about it honestly. Nothing was ever right, good enough, you know, that kind of thing. And so I grew up feeling that I was never good enough, capable enough, smart enough, uh, able enough to achieve anything. You know, I kind of always felt like, you know, you would try to lose weight or you would try to do something, well, you're a failure. You know, that would be in my head all the time. You know, it's another thing you failed at. You know, you didn't finish that. You know, it's just like all those negative things are swarming in there. And that's where my biggest obstacle has been, is my own head. And I think that's everybody's biggest obstacle, is their own head.
But what would you think that? Yeah, that's interesting.
And then to try to turn that around, it's been a lot of on purpose thinking and rethinking things to try to turn that around. It was kind of a strange thing. You know, I kept thinking, my dad's always so unhappy. He's never happy, and I don't recall ever seeing him genuinely happy. And that kind of translated to me and my mother as well. And so it's kind of been interesting to watch how now I can be genuinely happy with things and react to them and be in the moment. I think that was part of the perfectionistic problem. You're not in the moment. You're always thinking ahead or in the past. You're not in that moment. And I think that's the biggest thing. I'm trying to learn how to focus and be in that moment and enjoy what happens. And it's difficult when you're used to hearing all these negative things in your head. You know, you can't do that, you know, you don't know how to do that, you know, you're not able. And then suddenly to tell yourself, but I can do that, I am able, and I am worth the effort that I'm putting forth. And to constantly, for lack of a better thing, you're brainwashing yourself in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think that's what you have to do, is to keep plugging at that. And no, it's not easy, but it does get easier. And it's funny now, I can look and have a situation happen and I'm instantly not defensive. That to me was a product, being defensive, of the negative mindset. And it's like now somebody could walk into my office and suddenly tell me I got to do so and so, and I go, oh, okay. And that's been a long time turnaround, because I've been trying to work on that for a long, long time, even before the weight loss. So
how was it before?
it's just like anything that was out of the ordinary,
Uh-huh.
I feel like would be an irritant or an adjutant. You know, it would just not set well. You kind of feel like you're on a constant state of anxiety and, you know, anticipation that something bad's going to happen. So you've got to be prepped for it. And now I feel a lot more relaxed, and, you know, something bad happens, well, you can find something good about it anyway. So You know, and that's the beauty of the whole thing, is to not look at everything through a negative lens, but to try to find a positive, no matter how negative a situation it might be.
I see. I see. So, from your perspective, how this important landmark in terms of weight loss have influenced the changes in the way you relate to yourself?
This is probably going to sound strange, but I really don't think the weight loss has changed how I react within myself. I think it's caused me to really change how I relate to other people and how I can better relate to myself. I think that's the thing. The weight loss wasn't the key. The key was to deciding I'm worth the effort and taking the time to do internal work, because weight loss doesn't solve it. You know, if there's underlying issues, as I said before, you've got to resolve those issues before you can really focus on other things.
Help me understand that a little bit better.
Well, like I said, in the past, I have been very unforgiving and impatient. To me, impatience is one of the big obstacles of weight loss, and I am one of the most impatient people you will ever meet. And I think as Americans, we are schooled to be impatient. We want results yesterday, 100% results, and we want them yesterday. And I think that's one of the things we have to start learning. Anything worth achieving or getting is worth working and spending the time to get it. And I know there were studies done, I think, where they had children that they said you can have 2 marshmallows now, or you can have, 4 later. And the kids always took the 2 because they wanted the instant, versus waiting for the 4 marshmallows 30 minutes later. So, and that's how we are as adults. We don't want to wait. We want everything. And there's no magic bullet. That's what I hate about the whole weight loss industry. There is no magic pill. There is no magic bullet. It takes effort. You have to put in mental sweat equity and physical sweat equity to achieve it. So that's what's frustrating to me, because there is no easy way out. And there is another paradox that comes into play. Because I have been overweight, and say I met somebody and she weighed the same 134 pounds and we were friends, and she might go, "Why are you always walking? Why are you always working out?" I have to. She may not have to, but because I've been overweight, I have to maintain my results. And that is another place where people who've lost weight don't want to accept that reality. They don't want to accept the reality, yes, it's not fair, but you got to work harder than somebody else maybe at your same weight to maintain it. And that's been a tough one. Life's not fair. You always hear there's a kid, it's not fair. Well, it's not fair. But you got to learn how to accept it and deal with it. Yeah, you got to work harder, but is it worth it to you? Is it really worth it? If it is, you're going to do it.
So, if I understand you correctly, the major achievement in terms of lifestyle change really happens between your ears.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a mental health change that leads to a successful intervention now.
Mm-hmm.
You have tried this before,
Mm-hmm.
and you weren't ready, as you describe it. Am I understanding you
Yeah,
correctly?
I think that's fair.
Now, what else have changed?
I think through time you gain tools in your arsenal of life, and I think that's something that, like I said, number 1, my head wasn't ready. Number 2, I didn't have all the knowledge that I needed. And I think number 3, just the practical maturity sometimes is not there. And I think sometimes you got to have a mental maturity in order to accept there's certain things that you may not like, but you have to do it anyway. And I'm seeing a lot of people say, "Well, I don't like vegetables." Well, I got news for you. Learn to like them. You don't like fruit? Learn to like it. We do that with other things, so why can't we do this with our food? And I just, that's one thing that's so frustrating to me, because I see people, "Well, I don't like to sweat." I got news. You don't have to sweat to lose weight. You can still lose weight. You don't have to sweat. But they say, well, I don't like so and so. Okay, well then find something you do like. Don't, that's to me that negative mindset. I don't like this, I don't want to do that. And that's where I think a lot of people, I really don't want to make that kind of change. I really don't want to do this. Okay, then you're not going to do it. So, and I think that's the thing, or I don't want to continue doing it. And that's another thing about keeping, as I've been told, and I have heard this, and I think it's called protecting your loss.
Okay.
How you protect it is you have to keep doing the same things you did to lose it to protect it or maintain it. And I had heard that from the beginning. I kept thinking, oh no. So that's why I never engaged in a lot of heavy duty intense workouts, because I was like, I do not want to have to do some of these insane crazy workouts to maintain my weight loss. And I'm a firm believer, if that's what you did to lose it, you're gonna have to do that to maintain it. In my life, I like to do a lot more things other than necessarily be in the gym. And so, like I said, you have to modify some things, but like I said, if I'd had that knowledge before, maybe I would have done better. But it's like, I just don't think, you've got to mentally be prepared for things. And I had already done a lot of self-internal work on where I was, and I think that helped lay the foundation. So when I physically felt bad, it was kind of like a 1-2 punch that worked together.
I see, I see. And when you say prepare, what does that mean?
I think there's a lot of preparation. I don't think you can easily say, at 5 o'clock I'm going to join a weight loss program and I'm going to be successful. You can say that, but if you don't understand what you're getting into, that's to me where preparation comes in. If your mind is not ready to do that, you can make a decision, but if you haven't really done a lot of what I call behind the ears work, then it's still not going to be, it may be a decision for today, it may be a diet, and then tomorrow you're like, oh, whatever. So that's why I said you've got to lay a lot of preparatory work in your head. It's like you've really got to make up your mind you want to do it. How am I going to do it? And sometimes those decisions are not made overnight. Sometimes we have to wrestle. I think I really wrestled with that decision for quite a while. Mm-hmm. And then when I heard about the stress test, it was like, bingo, okay, we're time to stop thinking. It's time to start putting the actions to play. So,
to a certain extent, you have changed then in the way you see yourself and the way you relate to others.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Give us some examples of what went on between the ears. What type of dialogue was there before? And why that dialogue, quote unquote, was not fully challenged in a sense.
Okay, for example, say I go to a restaurant.
Okay.
Okay, let's say before any weight loss, I go to a restaurant. I look at the menu and go, oh, that sounds really good. I think I'm going to order that. Okay. Oh, and I'll have that too. Oh, she's giving that. Okay, I'll take one of those too. There wasn't any head work. That's where I'm going with this. Where now I go into the restaurant, I've already looked at their menus online. I know what they serve. I know basically what I'm going to order before I ever step foot in there. Now I look at something and go, it looks good, but I don't think so. It's not eat. And I say this, you need to eat according to your goals. If your goal is to be 300 pounds, you eat whatever you want, as much as you want. But if you really want to not be 300 pounds, you're going to have to make conscious decisions. And it's constantly, if you see a candy bar, is that really worth it? Do I really want to eat that? This is what's going on in my head. Do I really want to eat that? Is that really going to help me obtain my goal? And then you go by the break room and somebody's baked cookies. Okay, I can have a cookie. There's no problem with that. Okay, I can have a cookie. Not 2 cookies, not 10 cookies, a cookie. I really would rather have a half a cookie. You start weighing it out. Okay, I can get by with a half a cookie. So like I said, the mental stuff was not there. It was just like, if it tasted good, it smelled good, it looked good, I ate it. Now it can look good, smell good, and I'm sure it would taste good, but it's not necessarily the first choice. Or if I decide to, I can have a bite of that, but I don't have to sit there and eat this huge restaurant portion, which is out of whack anyway. So,
So, so what did you say today to yourself when you think about all these different changes you have made?
what do I say to myself? Keep on going.
Uh-huh.
That's one of my biggest things is to keep on going. You're doing good. Okay, you don't have to be perfect. Like I said, all the things I'm trying to play inside my head constantly, is to keep things going. And it's okay if I make a bad choice. It's okay. Life doesn't end. We go on. And I think that one of the big things is I accept responsibility for the choices I make.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say, because my dad was a negative person, therefore I'm going to eat all bad food because he was negative, so I have the right to eat all bad food. I think that in the past was probably more accurate than I want to admit. Now it's like I eat good because I choose to make a good choice. It's like I'm taking responsibility. Okay, I want to eat that piece of cake. I am going to eat that piece of cake and I'm going to enjoy it. It's not that I don't need to feel guilty about it. If I choose to eat that, then I own that choice and move on. So, and I think sometimes that's where also people who diet get in their head, oh, they had a piece of cake, they blew it. Maybe, maybe not. It depends on their attitude and how they react to that. And that's the thing, is how you react to what's happening, how successful it is. So.
And what happens during those moments that are not that good?
What happens? Those moments happen. And the biggest thing is acknowledging that they do happen. I admit on a recent cruise, I kind of got close to the ice cream machine more than once, and with chocolate chip cookies. But that's okay. That I didn't stay there every day, all day long. That's the thing. And it's like, even when I was in New York, it was a short period of time. I was determined. There was one thing I was eating when I was in New York, was New York pizza.
Okay.
I made that conscious choice as soon as the show was broadcast. I hit a place and got New York pizza, and I was very happy I did it. So, it was a conscious decision. It wasn't that I just said, oh, there's pizza, I've got to have it. I knew I was going to have it. And that's the difference between being led by your emotions and impulse and then making a conscious choice. That's owning it.
So your life has become more intentional.
Yes. Very much so.
And you are more actually engaged in a, how do you say that, a more respectful, but also more goal-driven internal conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I can see that we have spoken about food and the relationship between food and you and your efforts, but what other things you say to yourself, for example, about the future in general?
Interesting comment there. To speak to the future, I have several pipe dreams or ambitions that I probably have now that I didn't have 5 years ago. And so I just keep thinking, anything is possible. Because if you would have asked me 3 years ago if I would have been on national television telling, number one, my age and how much I weigh, I would have said, you are on something. And I need it. But, no, like I said, now that I've gone through that, I'm like, no, the sky is the limit, so to speak. So like I said, there are several things I kind of toy with in my head, and we'll have to see how the future plays out.
Okay. Any of those that can be shared?
Actually, one that I am really trying to work on, groundwork now, is I'd like to write a book.
Write a book, very well.
Yeah, and incorporating my experience with weight loss and, oddly enough, some of the mental psychology that's behind and some of the changes I feel that I had to go through in order to get to where I am now. So.
How interesting. So what about the thoughts about yourself?
Thoughts about myself.
Hmm.
Actually, I like myself these days, as
Okay.
opposed to future or past days when I didn't like myself so well. So that has changed in a good way. Like I said, almost everything has gone from a more negative to a more kind, self-loving, self-appreciating mode. Um, it's But I also am fearful of ego in all of this because I know that can be another problem. I've seen so many people have success with their weight loss. They receive some sort of public attention or notoriety, and guess what? Without exception of the people that I know are all struggling again.
I see.
They're struggling. One person I know has gained 150 pounds since the beginning of this year. Another one gained 50 pounds in the last year. In fact, two other people gained 50 pounds in the last year. And they had, like I said, received notoriety or publicity about their journey. So that I'm scared of. I will admit, I'm trying to be very vigilant about that. So like I said, I'm scared of that, but yet I don't want to be so scared that it stops me from doing anything.
And when you say, I'm liking myself more nowadays than before, what do you like about yourself?
I like that I can, reach a goal I can set and I can
Uh-huh.
make definite steps. I can plan out how to get there. I like that I can talk with people and encourage them. I actually really, really like that side that I'm able to, people ask me things and it's like I'm pretty much an open book. I may say on a few things, but it's like, yeah, I will, if you ask me about this or that. Or one of the funny things that people have been
Uh-huh.
asking me, they said, oh, since you've dropped weight, how many dates have you had? You've got to have men asking you out all the time. And I look at them and I go, okay, you know how many dates I've had since I've lost weight? 0. That's not a discouragement to me. Some people be going, they're just shocked when I tell them that. I said, well, think about this. I have on national television told my weight and what I weighed and how old I am, and they know that I've had 2 failed marriages. How dateable do you really think that makes me in the big picture? I said, let's be realistic. If people don't watch the media, maybe I might get a date with them. But it's like that doesn't make me marketable. But that wasn't why I was trying to do weight loss, was to be marketable anyway. I was doing that to be healthy. And I know I was reading something recently where a lot of people are very discouraged, about their, how people see them and everything. And that's one of the things that they start regaining weight because they had their mindset they were going to meet Mr. Right or whatever because they lost weight. And I'm like, no, there is no such thing as Mr. Right. There's Mr. Sort of kind of right. And and you're not Mrs. Right either. You're Mrs. Sort of kind of right. So that's to me the realistic expectations. And that's where I think a lot of people lose it with weight loss. They think, oh, I'm suddenly going to be rich and I'm suddenly going to be, I'm going to have this fabulous job and I'm going to get a promotion at my job and I'm going to have all these dates. That's not how it works. Because I really think whatever you kind of have before, you still have afterwards. It's what you do with that at that point. And if you don't know what to do with it before, you're not going to know what to do with it after.
And what or in which way have you thought about people changed through all this process?
My thoughts about other people
Mm-hmm.
have changed tremendously,
Mm-hmm.
I think. And I think for the good.
Oh.
Simply because I feel more empathetic toward people who are having health issues, who are fighting. It's like I walk into a store and I maybe see a woman who is about the same size I am, and it's so hard for me not to take them aside and say, hey, I've been there. It can be done. Because I can see the sadness on their face. And like I said, my heart goes out to them, but my mouth stays shut until somebody asks me. Because I just know that, one day somebody's going to have, instead of road rage, they're going to have store rage. And it's like, no, don't want to be a part of that.
Very good. Is something else that I should have asked you, or anything else that you would like to add at this point as we are closing our conversation today?
Um, one of the things that I think I would leave with somebody who's really wanting to lose weight, don't give up. It may not happen today, and it may not happen tomorrow, and it may not happen this year. But if you're consistent, you work at it, you resolve maybe some issues that you have, it's going to happen. And it's literally 1 pound at a time. It's not, I hate these commercials that say you can lose 30 pounds in 30 days. And I want to say, so what? What does that do to your life? What does that do to your health? What's so wonderful about that? Because to me it's not healthy. And, so like I said, I hear those, if it's too good to be true, it is. You hear that all the time. Well, if it's too good to be true, it's probably not. Well, I've got news in weight loss. If it's too good to be true, it's not true. If it's too good to be true, it is definitely not true. So.
But if I understand you also correctly on that perspective, is that you are looking for, so what's the meaning of this for you? What is it that you would really like to accomplish?
Through the weight loss that accomplished?
Uh-huh.
If I personally can somehow help somebody else to make the same journey that I have, and their journey's not going to be identical to mine, but if they can have the same kind of results and feel like they got their life back, to me, that's incredible. To me, that's the biggest thing. If I can somehow inspire others, for lack of a better word, or if I can coach them or whatever, to me, that's what this is about. That's one of the only reasons why I went on national television, is I felt if there's somebody who lives in Idaho and they happen to watch, and maybe it's a woman who's the same age as I am, and she's been told by her doctor, and many doctors tell people after you eat 50, you're not going to lose weight, just accept it, it's reality. And if she sees that I lost over half my body weight after age 50, then she might think I can do that. If she can do it, I can do it. And that's the reason why I chose to be on national television, because I said, if that enables somebody else to realize they can do it, it's worth it.
Thank you so much. Wonderful.